Hello, everyone. Sorry about the delay. We're ready to start the open mic for all of you who are watching on YouTube. I realized I really wanted to start this open mic by saying, hi there, cool writers and kittens. Welcome to the first Geneva Writers Open Mic. So I hope you're all doing well and staying safe at home. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have some fantastic, wonderful, brave writers of Geneva who will be sharing original pieces of work. And I have no idea what to expect, actually, because we're going to have all kinds of writings. Poetry, fiction, nonfiction, playwriting, who knows? That's the best thing about an open mic, is that it's full of surprises. Before we start, I'd like to give an introduction of some of our steering committee members who actually made this open mic possible. So I just wanted to introduce the people who've put all of this together. First of all, Caroline, if you could please wave to the crowd, and if the steering committee members could please turn on their videos, thank you. So starting with Caroline, she is our executive secretary. She handles all of the registration. She's the one who replies to all of your questions at lightning speed workshop. She's the first one to arrive, last one to leave. And for this open mic, she'll also be keeping the time. So watch out when she is signaling the time. Alnaz, she is our treasurer. We could say hello to everyone. Our treasurer, she handles the budgets, the payments, the audits. She keeps us honest in finance and keeps us funny on social media, because that is very important. Next, we have Steve, who joined just a year ago, who has been putting together all of the newsletters, those long lists of submissions opportunities that you see, those activities, and also updating our website. And he is on YouTube right now, helping you guys out, along with Jimena and Asia. Christine, she organizes the small critiquing groups and teen workshops. So a lot of you know her by matching you guys up with the right people for critiquing. Rosalind is our absolute communications expert, and she also works a lot with the instructors on the workshop content. Jimena has been hosting all of you with coffee and snacks to make sure you have enough sugar and caffeine to keep you going through those workshops. So thank you, Jimena. And Asia, who joined us recently, and she is helping us out with video content, which will be super important now, especially. So more information on that to come. So the entire committee is actually here to help you out. So if you're having an issue, please just say so in the chat on the YouTube. Also, I really want to encourage all of you guys who are on the live stream to leave your comments in the chat, because this is an interactive event. I'm sure all the readers here would really love to, hear your thoughts, your feelings, hopefully positive ones. And after each reading, I'll try to select a few of the, really good comments to share with everyone, but only the really good ones. So I think we can get started and just jump right in right now. Let's see, I think we have 13 readers today. And I'm just gonna start with, I think, a bit of poetry. If you could give me 1 second, I will have list. So the first person who will be reading for us today is Emily Bilman. She is the stanza group leader of poetry in Geneva, an academic writer, and a poet writing her 4th poetry book. So Emily, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Great.
Yeah, okay, great. I will be reading my sonnet, which I sent to Offshoots, but which apparently was disregarded, but doesn't matter. It's called The Child with a Prism. Red for the apples and orange for the oranges, yellow for the canaries that tread on the grass, evergreen firs stretching beyond the house, robins that sing in blue, violet, and indigo. Out in the garden, the child realizes the prism refracts the light in her hands into rainbows. She then hides in the shadow of the lime tree, tries to catch the light on the glass triangle, but the rainbow seems pale as the sands on the beach. The shade waned the iridescence as if to reproach her selfishness, her temper tantrums, her protean whims. Pensive, she places her prism in sunlight again, enthused to behold the rainbow's rebirth, as when the rain cleans the tilled earth. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Caroline. I can't hear you.
Didn't unmute. I have to remember that button. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm just trying to find the YouTube comments that are out there. If you could just give me one moment. I don't. So I don't see any comments as okay, here we are. Sorry about that. I couldn't find it. So let's see. You have a thumbs up and definitely great piece from Jayant Narayan, and Lisa Marie Rudy has clapped her hands 3 times. So thank you so much for sharing that, Emily.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to the next reader, and we have Patricia Elwood. So I don't know what Patricia will be reading, so I am very much looking to be surprised. Patricia, please go ahead.
My video. Hi, good evening. Thank you for opening Mike Spot. I'll be presenting part of my book that's been published this year. It's I'm a Jungian analyst, and it's about a Jungian approach to the unconscious through spontaneous drawing. So most people say they can't remember their dreams, but Jung actually proposed several methods for contacting the unconscious, and one was definitely spontaneous drawing. So he and his collaborators propagated the method of spontaneous drawing and spontaneous artistic expression as a real psychological tool for access to the unconscious. And actually in the Institute in Zurich, in the Bild Archive, we have a huge collection of spontaneous drawings and Jung's own spontaneous drawings. So he was always seeking contact with the unconscious, and what Goethe's Faust had claimed, now let me dare to open wide the gate past which men's steps have never flinching trod, Jung accomplished. Opening those gates for Jung meant delving into the depths of his own unconscious, and his access was through spontaneity. Jung himself drew, painted, and sculpted all his life. Every stage of self-expression was accompanied by the taking up of pen, pencil, brush, or chisel, and plunging once again into this zone of unknowing so as to allow the unconscious to have its way through spontaneity. He admits he didn't always know what he was doing, what was coming up, but he says it's not that important. What he says is it's a question of releasing unconscious processes and letting them come to the conscious mind in the form of fantasies. He says, I would not give priority to understanding. The important thing is not to interpret and understand fantasies, but primarily to experiment them, to experience them. So Jung believed that once emotions are translated into images, then the psyche is appeased. To the extent that I managed to translate the emotions into images, that is to say, find the images which were concealed in the emotions, I was inwardly calmed and reassured. Jung's credo was the wealth of the soul exists in images, as he wrote in Liber Novus. So my book is about how one approaches the unconscious. It's also about revealing the process in the unconscious. It's extremely simple method. I also run courses. If anyone wants to look up on my Facebook, they'll find information. They can do it individually or in group. But yes, Jung says, if your creative force now turns to the place of the soul, you will see how your soul becomes green and how its fields bear wonderful fruit. My book was actually originally called A Window on the Soul. So yes, Jung encourages people to access the unconscious for the simple reason that it widens our consciousness. And this is the important aspect. And it's accessible to everyone at any age, beyond culture, beyond religion, beyond language, even beyond pathology. So yes, I agree with Jung that this is important, that one must relate to the unconscious because it's the biggest part of our psyche and the biggest part of our lives. So
sorry, Patricia, but we've actually already run out of time.
thank you.
But that was a really lovely introduction. And actually we do have Susan Tiberghien with us today as well. So I'm sure there'll be more, it'll be a Jungian open mic tonight. So, but thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very
much. So I'm going to move on next to our next reader is Alan Harmer. Let me find Alan, and Alan, whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
So, hello everybody. Cheers. This is a recent poem. Immanuel Kant's 1794 treatise on a metaphysical digression on the autonomy of the supreme being and the problem of coronas. On my countertop sits COVID, dead as the pepper pot, unable to feed or breathe or reproduce or hop, inanimate. Dead, yet waits its chance for me to pick it up, twist the top, disperse 10,000 pepper grains, contaminate. Confined inside, I scan the internet, purchase a telescope, my last light of hope to communicate, explore outside the heavens, scan myriad stars, implore him manifest, empty and hidden space, inanimate, maybe a mistake. Purchase instead a microscope to dialogue with molecular microbes in complex chemical robes, Brownian motion, eternal commotion, his teeming cohort host from grandiose to nanoscale, while COVID bides time, glycoproteins poised to pounce. Fifth columnist infiltrator, once inside the body cell, COVID feeds and breathes and reproduces hell. The traitor usurps my human nature, tires me out, exhausted, my lungs a punctured tire, deflated, fever heated, stoked up hellfire crater, COVID reigns, supreme dictator. Please God, don't let me die. I promise to be good, to worship thou supreme. Was I so wicked to deserve this pain? Replicating sins strung out as RNA. Did thou create coronas on the Saturday to crown the garland feast? Where Adam encountered Eve to dance, share themselves, consummate their love, disperse the COVID curse. Was that thy punishment? No answer. Does he reply? Is God live or dead? Once inside the mind, man's invented replicating memes, contaminate infected neurons, genomes, feed on fear, breathe out lies. God and COVID, without the host, do not exist. Both bring arrogant Homo Deus to our knees. The final twist? Worship the pepper pot, live or dead. I pray to COVID, to let me live.
Thank you so much, Alan. That was absolutely epic and extremely modern at the same time. And I have to say that quite a few people have commented on it. Yeah, so Jayant says, in quotes, arrogant homos to our knees is an excellent, I assume that is his favorite line. And somebody else posted an elbow bump. But actually, I just want to let all of you readers know that there are 33 people watching on YouTube live stream right now. I know you don't get to see them, but your readings are very much appreciated. So thank you for sharing. And also somebody else said, loved it, Alan. I think you're getting a lot of appreciation for this poem. Thank you. Okay, I am gonna move on to the next reader, and that is Valerie Harrison. She's basically a Brit at heart, but she says she fully appreciates the extent to which living abroad continues to enrich her life. So Valerie, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Birds of Paradise. 4 years ago, Rudra Bejar's ballet school gave a superb performance inspired by Aristophanes' satirical comedy entitled The Birds, with music by Manos Hadjidakis at Lausanne's EPFL. The students had spent months learning the subtleties of the Greek language until the composer's words rolled with ease off their tongues while they danced and sang at the same time. The free-flowing, dynamic choreography was their own. The play began with the two main protagonists, Phisteretos and his companion Evripidis from Athens, convincing the chorus of over 20 different species of birds to build a city in the sky. Aristophanes wrote the play in the 5th century BCE, but his dry humor is timeless. A flurry of sleek and agile male dancers leapt across the stage, muscles rippling under their skin. Around them, tropical birds of paradise flitted from flower to flower in a burst of scarlet, bright green, and electric blue, the colors of their leotards and shorts. Other birds ruffled their feathers, expressing their readiness for war. In twos and threes, they dashed about in chaotic order, exchanging news about the city, recently named Cloud Cuckoo Land. Its outer walls, represented by wooden cubes, rose high above the dancers. One of them had recently slipped from the upper wall while perched on the shoulders of his fellow dancer, but had succeeded in camouflaging his fall to the ground as a scary part of his performance. Later, I heard rustling in the rows behind me as spectators realized that half the stage was empty and discovered the chorus joyously invading the aisles in one surge of irrepressible movement. A dark-skinned beauty with brilliant eyes and white teeth set in a smiling face stopped beside me, her body undulating in rhythm with the music. Silently, she extended an arm, inviting me to dance. There wasn't much space around us, so I nodded whilst remaining seated and clasped her hand. While our arms wound circles of 8, I mimed her lip movements until the words were familiar enough for me to sing with her. What a wonderful, warm exchange between two people who'd never met. Similar scenes were surely lighting up people's faces in the aisles around us, but as much as I was curious to see them, I didn't want to look away and break the magic spell. And then she was gone, rushing back to the stage with other members of the chorus for the finale.
Thank you so much, Valerie. That was so eloquently read. We have now 34 people watching on YouTube, so I think people just keep coming. I think, a few of the comments are delayed, so I'll probably circle back as we get them from YouTube, but I'll let you know if others have said anything about it, but really well done. Thank you. And it was really eloquently read.
Thank you.
So I am going to move on to the next reader now. And the next person we have is Alexa Intrator. Alexa, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hello. I'm going to read 3, perhaps 4 poems from a collection in the early 2000s that I put together when I'd broken a leg. That was another kind of confinement. This first poem is called Wisteria Early May, 3 weeks later than it is now. Timing is all and brief. You are a survivor. Branches gnarled on woody trunks, brash tumbling blooms touch, provoke. We sleep while purple petals trickle down. Now I've become a stalker of flowers, perfume drunk, head frayed with lavender, and when I step outside, obsessed, there you are, still brandished across the balcony, bulging, honeyed over ripe cascades, spoiling with sweetness, heedless of the wind, letting blossoms fall, brief breath before all passion fades. Then I'm going to read Swiss Mountain View. Cold flakes float, freezing particles needle down, and words sparkle like promises, brief ice. Rock, mountain, ice, jag. How people love a peaked horizon and the smoldering feast of sunset from their heated four-wheel drive. As the glacier weeps into the valley, ears are plugged with MP3s. And my last poem is about a cat, and it's called Me and the Cat, Prisoner of Purr. It's not her meow or screech or yowl that speaks to me. That's the cat's preserve. It's her silken sleek around my feet, a self-caress so self-possessed, the sudden leap when I'm asleep, her lazy nap across my lap, reserving me, a prisoner of purr, in thrall to this sweet ball of fur. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexa. I love poems about cat, I have to say. I can always read them as much as I like cat videos, and they're even better. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have cat emoticons on YouTube. So I think people like them. Hearts and tears, and other people, Adam has said, love it. Lisa Marie also sent a cat, and Michael has said, prisoner of purr is a great line. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to now move on to the next reader. I'm going to go to David Lewis. And David is a former journalist, writer on AIDS at WHO, as well as Assistant Director General at the European Broadcasting Union. David is devoting his enforced early retirement to writing, traveling, and far too often lying indolently in the sun on his terrace in Ferney-Voltaire. That sounds lovely. David, whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
Thanks very much. This piece, which tries to look on the bright side of the coronavirus, is called No Place to Hide. Thank you, coronavirus. Thank you, President Macron, for forbidding me to leave home without a document certifying that I'm shopping, exercising, or taking supplies to an aged relative. Thank you, Switzerland, for closing your borders. Thank you, EasyJet, for grounding your entire fleet. And thank you also, dear tennis club, for closing your courts. Frankly, I can't see the risk in hitting a ball at someone the other side of a net. But hey-ho, that's the law. I'm a good boy. Yes, dear killer virus, thanks to you, I can't cross into Geneva for a workshop of the writers group. I can't jump into a plane in search of new experiences. I can't spend an hour or two getting sweaty with a racket in my hand. I can't even drive to IKEA to enjoy free coffees on my family card. In short, dear virus, you have made self-isolation compulsory, which is as good for writers or would-be writers as for hermits and some varieties of monk and nun. Writers need to isolate themselves, to put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, to actually write rather than find excuses not to. Once upon a time, many years ago, I was a correspondent for Reuters. International news agencies have constant deadlines because at any time, somewhere in the world, a newspaper or media bulletin will be begging for the very latest news. So I was always under pressure to report and update my reports as rapidly as possible. These permanent deadlines forced me to work effectively. I simply had to deliver or be fired. And then I was hired by WHO to be the writer-editor of a magazine, a quarterly magazine, just one deadline in every 3 months, for God's sake, instead of several every single day at Reuters. The corset was fatally loosened. I became extremely undisciplined. One shameful year, the 3rd and 4th issues of my magazine came out not in July and October, but within days of each other in December. Now that I no longer work for a living, the situation is even worse. I have no external deadlines or discipline to keep me on the rails. So once again, thank you, coronavirus, for keeping me at home. You may not be disciplining me to actually do something, but at least you are blocking many of the displacement activities to which I normally resort. Now I have absolutely no excuse not to get back to those 3 draft novels which have languished in bottom drawers and electronic files since the national novel writing months of Novembers 2015, 16, and 17. All I need now is some bad weather to prevent me lying on my terrace. Then I shall have no place to hide.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just loving all of these quarantine pieces, I have to say. Like, have you ever felt more expressive than right now? And completely different from Alan's piece. Thank you so much. As I see comments, I will bring them up to share with everybody. And just to update everyone, we have even more people joining now with 37. And someone had actually just said, thanks, David. That was great. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to move on now to the next reader. So that's Manisha Malhotra. He is the author of The Last Link and Murder for Passion. He's an engineer, scientist, and the youngest published author of India for having Murder for Passion published at the age of 13. So Manisha, I'm just turning on your mic and please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hi, so I'm going to read a little piece from my last book, The Last Link. And this piece is from a section of the book where my main character is being taught how to start meditating. She asked me to sit down in front of her as she explained. Om is a divine word and invokes an almost never-ending energy in our bodies. It is an ignition point for your body's engine. You see, it is that which everything emanates from, the sound of infinity. It is a combination of 4 parts, A, O, Ma, and the ending Chandrabindu, or as some people like to call it, silence. A represents the tangible world, U represents the invisible world's forces, Ma represents dissolution of both these worlds into the cause from which everything emerged, consciousness. I hated to interrupt her, but I had to ask, Liv, words and sounds break silence, don't they? How do these sounds then exist in the silence if they are, in fact, breaking in? She replied, her poise steady and her voice unwavering. And sound is not the absence of silence. Silence is always there. It's always present. Sound only travels through it. Silence doesn't need a medium, and neither does it travel. It is always there. Just like the world's soul, Brahm, it is where Oranos came from. These letters, they strike a particular part of your brain, as they got different frequencies. The tangible world, the unseen forces, the power that drives us, and the Chandrabindu telling us, the brain, what all of this exists in. The entire world exists in the infinite Brahm and is powered by it. And that's the bit that I wanted to do. So you could find me on Instagram, find my other pieces on meditation, and I do encourage meditating regularly, especially through the crisis, because it has helped me and a lot of my other friends. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, that's, I think, what we're trying to bring with this open mic, which is, you know, we're all alone but together, we're apart but together. So thank you for taking the time to dive into some literature and for sharing your work. I'm just going to take a pause and look at a few of the comments. So ML has said that was beautiful, Manisha, thank you so much. Andrea has said very nice. Adriana, on David's earlier piece, says so well put. I really needed a bit of a laugh for the current situation. Thank you. I think that's the case for all of us. So I'm going to move on to the next reader now. The next person is Jayant Narayan. Jayant Narayan works with governments in the technology policy domain and enjoys a good book under the sun, a run, or dishing out Indian soul food. I am very jealous about that Indian soul food, so I think I'm going to have to ask you for some recommendations after that. So let me just start your video, and whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
Sure. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Firstly, I hope everyone is staying safe during the quarantine period. A big thank you to the Geneva Writers Group for organizing this. I would say most of what I write is just musings in my mind. I keep it simple, a little bit lyrical. I'm going to share two pieces today, which are around the themes of, I would say, solitude, yearning, a bit of romance or heartbreak, you could say. So here goes the first piece. It's called Forever. A whiff of unknown fragrance from that unspoken place. Memories that shall be formed, but for now don't have a face. Forever we dream, forever we are restless. The insatiable cravings we have, always more, never less. We won't stop, we won't stay still. Wandering through the valleys, wandering through the hills. Slowly we will dissolve, slowly we will become the soul of the dust. But for now, here we are, forever yearning, forever the wanderlust. And the second piece is called Strangers Again. The shadows of your fingers dance upon my soul as you trace invisible lines. I sway and ponder over the beautiful contradictions of your boundless mind. You were seeking something you lost in the melting shadows amongst the flickering lights, only to realize I was among the countless cinders that would be lost in the fading night. And now I'm the fallen leaf that autumn shall blow away, a fleeting moment, a passing day. Time-devouring, timeless whispers and the faint echo of countless words that I had to say. And as moments dissolve in the cruel conundrum of this unrelenting gray rain, we dance in the musical oblivion of denial, miles away as strangers again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really moving, some beautiful imagery there. And I'm just looking at what people are saying on the live stream right now. Katie has said, all of these are great to listen to. Been missing my tribe. Sunanda has said, I agree, it is so calming. And Michael says, great flow, Jan. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And just to update everyone, we now have 40 watchers on the live stream. So we're gathering quite an audience. I'm going to move on now to the next reader. Oh, just one more comment. Let me see. That was, so Manisha has said that was beautiful. Do leave your social media link here so I can follow more of your work. Yes, I would encourage all of the readers here to share your contact information and start a conversation about what you're writing and what you're reading. So I'm going to move on to the next reader, and that would be, I'm sorry, I think I may have just gone slightly out of order, but actually Jane Mocellin, who has a PhD from Canada, is a polar scientist and UN career in over 20 countries, has expertise laid the foundations of quantum minds. So wow, really interesting background. So Jane, if you're here, please start whenever you're ready.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so hi everyone. Some of you I know very well and knows exactly about quantum minds. It's hard to actually take a piece out of polar experiences and another systems. And as Caroline said, well, take it the best. Well, the best, I think the most impressive one was a meeting with a group of polar wolves. And I had to use my mind. So I'm just going to read it, what I put in Quantum Minds, the book, about that event. So her mind reached out. It scrambled through nothing and then latched onto something. The wolf's mind was as sharp as a double-edged knife. Her own mind shrunk back in fear and pain. It was as if the wolf's focused mind had her entirely. She tried again. This time the pain was just about tolerable. She felt as if she was shaking hands with a psychopath whose appetite was temporarily restrained by curiosity. I do not want to harm you, she projected. It felt stupid, expressing in words, but they were all she had. Just tell your pack to let me go. The wolf's stare didn't shift a millimeter. In her mind, neither did its concentration. Jana, call upon inner resources. I promise that your whole pack will be safe, and you, if you let me go, my colleagues will not kill you. To her amazement, her words became pictures and images. She could smell blood, but not in her nostrils. Their smell seemed to fill the world. She could see. It wasn't a smell, it was a call, a siren song. They could not be ignored. She tried to pull back from the wolf's monomania. You would be smelling blood, she projected, but this is because I'm sick. Please let me go and get me medical help that I need. Please, I beg you. So this was my, I'm not going on because I will exceed the time. But this was the beginning of my encounter with the wolves in real time, in real life. In the end of the story, actually the alpha opened the circle and I managed to go back to the station. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. With your background, you have such amazing material to work with when it comes to writing. So, so unique. Thank you so much for sharing your work. Let me see what people are saying. So Mary joining us from Panama says, you are all amazing, so wonderful and life-affirming to see so many of you and to hear your lovely voices. Thank you all for organizing this. And Jayant said, thanks, Jane, for sharing. Would love to read more. So I think you definitely have at least one fan from this.
Thank you.
And Manisha says, I can't believe there's more people who study physics and write. It's just such a unique combination. So, and she would like to connect with you more. So thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a few more readers. Let's see, the next person we have is Slawka Scarso, who will be sharing work with us. So I'll start your video and whenever you're ready.
Hello. The lockdown mystery. So everything around us has gone quiet. Nadia and Tom are staying at home all day. Outside, there are only a few cars now and then, but I do hear sirens from time to time. Otherwise, it's just us dogs barking at cats, birds chirping, and every night there's people clapping from their balconies for some reason. Even those annoying bells that have my friends howling like mad are not ringing so often. Well, that's good, but why now? Of course, nobody tells me anything. They still talk to me like I'm a puppy. It's all stay, sit, roll. But how about updating me? Don't they realize how stressful it is to have one's routine completely changed by their constant presence? No more me space, no more time to relax. I must keep an eye on them all day long. Anywho, to get some extra info, I had to resort to my own means. And since the days are nice, I spend as much time as I can in the garden. Except nothing is going on. Even the kids who usually play in our street are nowhere to be seen. The only exception is for dogs. I see dogs I've never seen before, and the dogs I usually see once a day, I'm seeing more and more often. What's going on? I asked one of them yesterday. It was a Chihuahua I had ignored until then, because let's be honest, Chihuahuas are not real dogs. He shrugged. I'm stuck in here, pal, I insisted. My people are always at home, and why has everything gone so quiet? I know you're not supposed to flood dogs with words, especially when you don't know them well, but I had to find out. I only know, the Chihuahua said, that it's the third time they've taken me out today, and it's only 10 a.m. They'll do it in turns. I can't take it no more. Please help me, he said. And he looked at me with those really worried eyes that Chihuahuas have. And I was sorry for him. I mean, this is just how bad things have got, that I feel sorry for a Chihuahua. See you in an hour, I heard him whine. I went back inside and found Nadia watching television. There were people wrapped in white, with masks and all, and everyone looked very worried. They also showed pictures of cities as empty as our street. Nadia looked worried too. I snuggled next to her and she started petting me, which was nice, but it was still frustrating not understanding what was going on. Then they showed images of a bat, and then again of people who were sick. So that's what I understood. They say it might come from bats, but it can be true. Bats are nice. They eat mosquitoes. No, if someone caused whatever this is, then it cannot be the bats. You need a very mischievous mind to start something like this that makes the world go quiet. You need a cold-blooded schemer, a plotting, manipulative, selfish creature. You need a cat. That's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Slawka. I think there's been quite a bit of reaction to your piece. Andrea has quoted, "Let's be honest, Chihuahuas are not real dogs." I love that line too, but I guess I'm also biased about Chihuahuas. And Manisha has noted, "As much as I love cats, it's nice to see someone supporting the bats." Wow, a lot. I don't think I'll have time to read all these comments. And Alnaz was saying, so true. Amel says, excellent fresh perspective. Laughed so much. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I'm now going to move on, I think, to the next reader, and that will be Alistair Scott. He is a writer and photographer living in Switzerland and longtime member of the GWG, who I know has done a tremendous amount for the GWG. So thanks for joining us. Please start, Alistair, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you great.
Great, at last. I'm going to read three poems from my collection of poetry called A Sort of Archaeology. The first one is some of the plants in my garden at this time of year are getting a bit wild and they're not supposed to be there. And I've written a poem about them, Weeds. The poppy floozing in a regiment of wheat, the bindweed softly strangling sweet William in the border, the coltsfoot prancing bare-ass naked on your lawn. No matter what you do to them with hoe or flame or weed killer, you cannot keep these outlaws down for long. They flooze and strangle, prance and flaunt anarchic rags slap in your face. Each one's a small reminder of the wild things that we, masters of the world, think that we have tamed. But they live beside us, wayward, waiting. The second poem is a villanelle, which is a poem in which lines repeat down the poem, and it's called Earthshine. The new moon holds the old moon tight. Her dying partner glows with faint earth shine, as by the lake the evening deepens, sucking up the light. The old moon has not long now, just one night, to whirl her final turn above the sharp skyline. The new moon holds the old moon tight. Across the darkening waters, gulls in flight head down towards the sea, a slender line that disappears as evening deepens, sucking up the light. There was a younger moment when we might have grasped the stars and twisted them to our design. The new moon holds the old moon tight. But in this instant we are timeless, blazing, bright, as if intoxicated by the fumes of new pressed wine. And we drink as evening deepens, sucking up the light. How can we know which choice is wrong or right? Which star to wish on? There is no clear sign. The new moon holds the old moon tight, as by the lake the evening deepens, sucking up the light. And the final poem is a very short one in recognition of today, April the 15th, is the 75th anniversary of the relief of Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. And the poem is entitled Waiting for the Train, Warsaw, 1942. With his last remaining coins, their father buys one small, stale slice of rye bread and divides it into 6. It is their final meal together. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Alistair. That's quite a poem to end on, and thank you for bringing that to our attention of what this day means. Kay Kaminker says, great to hear a villanelle flow so naturally. And Lisa Marie says, beautiful, I really enjoyed all of your poems. Jayant says, which star to wish on? So lots of comments coming in. Earthshine is amazing. I also love that word, the compound word. It's just a wonderful title. So thank you for sharing. I'm going to move on to the next poet, and we have a real treat. I hope this works because she has been having some connectivity problems, but this person, this next reader really needs no introduction. It's Susan Tiberghien, everyone. She will be sharing a piece of work with us. I hope you can connect, Susan. Is it working?
If you can hear me, yes, I don't, that's fine. Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, we can.
So
I can't see you, but if that's not working, that's fine. Just
let's start my video. I will do that. I'm scared to touch anything after having gone on twice. Okay, even if I don't come on, it's fine. I pushed on start my video. And my voice is there, but maybe my face isn't, but that's all right.
All we need is your voice. So.
Okay, so I will start.
Thanks.
All right. And first, thank you for setting this up. Steering committee, it's a wonderful treat for all of us to be together. Through darkness to a new tomorrow. For 5 weeks here in Geneva, we have been living in confinement. Time has slowed down. The days resemble one another. We're living in an interworld between yesterday and tomorrow, a world which we call the present. But it is an undefined present, looking toward an undefined tomorrow. As writers, our engagement is crucial. From Caroline Forcher's poetry of witness to Margaret Atwood's literature of witness, we know our words, our stories bear witness in this unprecedented time. And they are the light that we shine into the global darkness, creating a record of what is happening not only serves history, but serves the creation
of a new tomorrow. Can we imagine a world cleansed of the inequalities that this virus has uncovered? A world alert to melting glaciers and rising sea levels? A world where compassion stares down hatred, fear, racism, where truth checkmates falsehoods. Whether our stories remain in our journals as testimony, or if they touch a family member, a friend, an acquaintance, or if they find their place in a newspaper as a letter to the editor or online as a blog, our words matter. They create community, a different community of care and concern. Arundhati Roy wrote in the Financial Times, April 3rd, "The pandemic is a portal between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging behind us the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies. Or we can walk through it lightly, with little baggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. Let us right through the darkness to this other world, to a new tomorrow."
Wow, thank you, Susan. I think if all of us were in the same room right now, it would be just as silent because you could hear a pin drop is basically when you read. And that was really incredible. Thank you. Christina O'Shaughnessy says an interworld, that's great description. Alan says, our words matter, a community. Thank you, Susan. And you are really the one who brought this community together. So we owe it all to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Great. Hi, thank you so much for organizing this Geneva Writers Group. That's so great. I'm actually not living in Geneva, I should say. I live in southern Germany, but I'm still a member of Geneva Writers Group, which I'm really happy. It's a great group of people. I'm going to read to you a flash fiction piece. Normally, I'm a fantasy writer, but this turned out not to be fantasy. And although it seems a bit sad, it takes just a minute, it's very short. So I want to tell a little bit about it. Although this seems a bit sad in the beginning or at first glance, I think it's actually about hope. And you will see what I mean by that. It's called The Swan. And the swan is hope, budding hope. So here it goes. The Swan. A dusty, stifling summer. The lake lay as still as the air. A swan approached from afar, a white speck in the boiled blue of the sky. It landed in a flurry of water spray, swam purposefully towards the elevated dock, and ferociously pecked at my trainer. "Sally, your uncle's here." I looked up the hill at our white house, surrounded by the rusty yellow of the sun-beaten grass. I didn't want to go up there. "Sally, come. Your uncle has something important to tell you." My uncle always had something important to tell me when he stayed over. Usually, he confided in me at night. It was so important and so secret that he never wanted my mother to know about it. I ignored my mother's calls and turned back to the swan. I fed it some bread. My uncle came down the path and put a hand on my shoulder. Don't you want to say hello to your uncle? I shrugged his hand off. I wanted to run away and never come back. My uncle placed his hand back on my shoulder. Right then, the swan hissed. It spread its giant wings and lifted off, pedaling the water to gain speed. It flew straight at my uncle, collided with his chest, bounced off, but came back for him right after. My uncle raised arms to protect his face. Instead, he met a mighty wing. A visceral crunch sounded, and he sunk to his knees. I stared down at him as he cradled his arm and then turned to find the swan. It was once again a mere speck in the distance, flapping its long, long wings to somewhere far away from here. The end. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Adriana. And I just heard from others that apparently people couldn't hear my introduction of you. So let me just say that again. Adriana writes speculative fiction and dwells at catchingwords.com, among other made-up places. I kind of love that. I want to dwell in a made-up place too. So thank you so much for sharing that. We now have just, let me see, I think 2 more readers, and I hope everyone can stay online to hear them. So the next person is Meleckidzedeck Khayesi, and they're an active member of the GWG. So Melecky, I'm just finding you here on the list. One moment. Okay, and I've started your video, so whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm Meleckidzedeck Khayesi. I'm reading a poem titled My Beloved Green Gold. Hello, my dear green gold. How are you? I don't have enough of you these days. I'm sure you know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly. Where are you? I often passed you on the shelves. I knew I would always get you whenever I needed a bit of you. But now you are rare. I pushed off another loving human being to keep enough of you for my family. I'm not unkind, but I had to be a good parent. Why can't you speak? Shake off the chains humans have put around you. They're locking you up in several places. You are all for all of us, not just for a few who are holding you. My beloved green gold, you are more precious than my best friends. I request my friends to get for me 1 roll of you whenever they go shopping. Damn those shopkeepers and retailers who have hiked your price. My digestion is now completed. Nature is calling me. What will I use after I graciously attend to this call? Oh, toilet paper, my beloved green gold. Please show up, otherwise I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Again, I feel like everyone has really a different take on the quarantine and COVID. It's just amazing to get all these perspectives. There's been funny and sad and just, but always interesting. So thank you. We have one last reader, and that is Christine Fashugba, and she will be reading a poem for us. Christine, please go ahead. And please start your video if you can.
Okay. Hi. So I haven't written very much, but this is one of the few things that I have written. Sorry. So it's called The Drawing. In the black, feelings are forbidden. Here, nothing is the matter. We wait until a hand appears. A line here and a pencil stroke there, some red shading, blue, green, even white, 2 eyes and I see out. I see a girl. She is intentional. Her head bent over me, constructing me, dressing me. I feel her breath on what seems to be my face. She does not seem to know she is giving me life. She rubs the eraser along my body, tingling, drawing, redrawing. I do not see my dress, but I know that it has purple and red on it. I saw the crayons headed towards me. I was hoping for purple hair too, but she gave me standard brown wisps and big, long lashes. Many small eyes gaze at me with wonder. They say I am good. It must be true, as I am pinned on a wall for all to see. I am high, a thing to be admired. There are others, but still I feel special, as long as eyes gaze at me once in a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Wow, what a way to end this open mic. Thank you, that was really moving. That really, that concludes our open mic. I want to thank all of the readers. It has been such an inspiring hour. I mean, I have to say the amount of talent and creativity and just pure heart and soul in this group has been absolutely astounding. And those of you who have been watching at home, I hope you found some nugget of inspiration too. If there was someone today that you heard read whose piece you really liked, don't hesitate to reach out to them. You can most likely find them through our Facebook group or just share your thoughts and feelings there. I just want to, on a personal note, I want to say when I first joined the GWG in 2013, what I really found unique about this group was the sense of community. All of us are going through really difficult times of isolation right now. But this is a reminder that just because we're apart doesn't mean that we can't be together. So stay healthy, stay safe, keep calm and write on. And please, everyone, just give all of yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you.